Hi, I'm Dr. Evan Matthews. I'm here at the Montclair State University's Exercise Science Lab, and I'm going to show you how to use a very simple sort of at-home style automatic blood pressure cuff. This is a cuff from Omron, which is one of the major companies that produces these kind of machines, and it's very, very simple to use. If you have one of these systems that you're trying to use at home or in a lab somewhere, it probably varies a little bit from this, but they all function pretty much the same. So this particular one has some instructions on the inside of the cuff, and you should always follow whatever instructions are on the machine you're using. But for this one, it tells us to put this tube that's coming off the cuff sort of over top of where the brachial artery is in the arm, which is on the inside of the arm between the bicep and the tricep. So there's a little groove in there. That's where you want this tube to line up with. So I'm going to take this. It's got a Velcro strap to it. And this particular model has a hard coil in there, which is why I'm not able to open this up anymore, at least not without breaking it. So I'm going to slide my arm inside of that coil, just kind of like a big ring, and it'll stretch a little bit as it slides up. And again, I want this tube to be right on that groove between my bicep and my tricep on the inside of my arm. And so once I have it there, I'm just going to take this strap, bring it around relatively tightly. You don't have to make it super tight, but it has to be tight enough where if you put your arm down, it's not going to slide off easily. All right, so put it on. Make sure it stays lined up after you've put it on tightly. And for this model, all we do is we hit the start button and it'll start taking a measurement. So make sure when you're taking measurements that you aren't talking like I'm doing right now. You don't want to be doing that. And make sure that you're sort of seated in a chair or laying down in a nice comfortable bed or some sort of recliner type chair, and that your back is well supported, that your feet are flat on the ground, your legs aren't crossed, and make sure you're just trying to relax, breathe normally, and just sort of don't think for a minute or so. It usually takes 30 seconds to a minute for one of these cuffs to take one reading. All right, so that was it. That was one reading right there. So these cuffs are super easy to use, fairly inexpensive. This was a more expensive one, but they can come down to $30, $40 easily. And they are fairly accurate. So comparing these to somebody listening to a blood pressure who's actually doing it based on sort of textbook technique, they're going to be fairly similar. This is probably going to give you a slightly higher systolic blood pressure and a slightly lower diastolic blood pressure, simply because the microphone that's in the cuff is going to be more sensitive than a typical person's ear is going to be. But otherwise, it is going to give you fairly accurate readings. So a system like this is not going to be accurate if the person's moving around a lot, so it's not so good during exercise. And so that is one of the major reasons why you still need to be able to take a manual blood pressure measurement, especially if you're an exercise science student or somebody in the exercise field. All right, so I hope that helped. Super easy to use, relatively inexpensive. Definitely recommend for anybody who wants to learn more about their own physiology to have something like this at home, or somebody who just needs to be watching their blood pressure more regularly. If you have any questions about how this unit works, I can try my best to answer them if you want to put a comment down below, or you can send me an email. Either one works. All right, so come back for another video, and hope to see you soon. Thanks.